Hi guys, this is Si from SiNi Software. Today I'm going to talk about our new asset manager that is coming out, Amy. And Amy is a 3D asset manager for 3D Studio Max, fully scalable, all sorts of different view settings. You can change sort of your thumbnail size. We actually have two different view displays. So we have a full screen where you would double click and that opens up a scalable preview window, which is always on top. So looking at your assets in a bigger preview, or we have our standard compact view, which that just everything opens up inside the interface itself. Bringing in meshes, you'll be able to actually bring in as a mesh, proxy, V-Ray, Corona, Final Render, Redshift, all sorts of different proxies that you'll be able to actually import your meshes in. You can actually add stuff to your favorites. So if I say, I want to right click, say I want to add this to a favorite, add this to a favorite, we have our favorites window over here. Also, if say you're getting assets ready for a job, you can actually just go, let's say we have job 207, and we'll create that as a favorites list. Now, as you're going through, you might be picking out some models that you're going to use in that job, so you can just right click and say add to job 204. We'll add this one to job 204, so you can have multiple favorite lists. So if I go over here, here's my standard favorites. Look at job 204, there's my additional favorite lists of whatever I want to add. You can create as many favorite lists as you want. Delete your favorite lists, clear them out. Any of the things that are in your favorites, you can just simply say remove from my favorite. It's going to get them out of there. We will have a couple of different export settings. So say you were getting everything ready for a job and you wanted to show this to a client, you'll be able to export these favorites out into a PDF, and all the thumbnails and information of those assets will be in a PDF that you can email out. We also have export database, which will be a feature in the future, where you'll actually be able to put together packages to resell or give to other people. It exports it out in a Amy format, so anybody else with Amy will just be able to import it right back into their database. We will also have a save favorites into a save favorites file. So if you were running the job and you've created all these favorites for job 207, you can just simply save out the little favorites file, and people in your office will be able to import in those same favorites, so they'll understand of what to use in the job. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this down, and we will open up Amy, and I'll show you how to add assets to Amy. Okay, so saving assets in Amy is really easy. So let's just, normally when you save out asset, you export it out, you bring it into your own studio scene, you usually take a render preview, and then you'll save it into your asset library. We've sort of made this so it's a little more seamless for everybody. So let's just say I'm working away in a scene here. I want to select something to save into Amy. So I'll just select this plant back here, and I will fire up the Amy wizard. And what this is going to do is, as soon as I click on this add to assets, what Amy's going to do is it's going to hide everything that's in your scene, turn off all your lights, load a studio scene, build that in for you so you can actually just move around, get it all set up to take a screenshot of this, so where you're going to be sort of set. And also then saves your render presets and loads in presets for you. So everything's sort of done for you, so you don't have to go through the hassle of exporting these out. So the first time you load up, it's going to skip the first one. If this model has all its textures and has no problems, it's just going to skip the checklist because it's already checked it. We have single shot, so you can actually take a single shot. And what this does is, for now, it takes a screenshot of the asset so it has something to put in the database right away. And then when you send a render later on, it'll replace this screenshot. It also snaps you a wireframe of this as well. Now, if you have, say, a car and you want to do a turntable screenshot, you just select turntable. It's going to go take all those shots for you in wireframe and in the regular screen preview. We also have multi-shots. So if you decide that you just want a couple of shots, so let's say maybe you want a top shot, let's just take a screenshot of that, and then you decide to go with a side shot, take another screenshot, you're all set to go. But in this case, it's a plant, single shot's fine. I don't think we need more than that. Going to jump on to information. So we'll put this in as potted plant, and then we'll go add this into a category. So trees and plants, potted plant, indoor. Now, there's a secondary category list. There might be things like furniture that might be fit into multiple categories. You can add that. There's shot IDs or catalog IDs, or you can use this area for manufacturers or all whatnot. We also have a keyword search, so we could say indoor plant, you know, whatever you want to put as keywords. None of this stuff is mandatory. The only thing is it needs a name and must be in a category. Now, the last part, the submit. So I can submit this to deadline. It's going to go off, close up, submit this to back burner, or do a local render. Now, in this case, I'll do a local render. So we've set this up so it has, you know, very low render settings. Just wanted to show you what it's going through. So you don't need a, you know, a 5K preview for your assets. We are doing a HD, well, a large size, so that stuff is scalable in 4K monitors, and everything works properly with Qt, which is QT is a scalable sort of interface that's built into Macs now, where buttons and everything will rescale for 4K monitors. So we do your preview in a large enough size, but like I said, it's a quick enough preview. It's going to be one of those things that it'll render out an asset in under a minute. But all this you can change yourself. You can go in and edit the render preset. You can go in and edit the studio file. It's all up to you. We're just giving you some basics in the beginning that sort of, you know, give you an idea of, you know, how we think you should put it together. It doesn't need to be really fast or anything like that. So now that this asset is done, it has now brought back your old render settings, deleted the studio scene, hid everything, and turned all your lights back on. So actually, you're in the same state that you were before you added an asset to Amy. So very quick to add these things in. No hassle of bringing these into another scene or setting that up. And like I said, you know, you can go in and change the studio scene to what you want, and you can change the render preset to what you want. But when Amy loads up, it will save what preset I had in this scene to begin with. So now when I open up Amy again, that new asset that I've added in there, if I go to trees and plants, let's just go down to trees and plants, we'll go to potted plants, and there's the asset I've just added. So simple enough to add stuff into Amy. So last part about this, now that we have our asset into Amy, anything in our database that we want to remove. We have put in the ability where you can actually just go in here, let's find something that we don't want in our asset, let's say this boat. I can delete this asset. It's going to pop up and ask me, sure you want to delete? Yes, gone. All right, now the way that this works, right now in the private beta, it's going to actually delete it out of your database completely. After we go into a public release, it's actually only going to flag that asset as deleted. And then there'll be an admin panel where the admin will actually have to confirm that this is a deleted asset, because we don't want anybody maliciously deleting assets out of your database. But for the private beta, we want you to play around with it and have the ability to just delete stuff out really quickly. Their settings tab right now is empty because we're reusing our own sort of settings, but all this stuff will be in the settings tab. Stuff in the settings itself will be adding categories, removing categories. So say you wanted something in here called I don't know, Fred. Going to go add that as a category, and if you look into here, automatically Fred's there. You can put subcategories underneath Fred, do everything you want, it's already live. If I want to get rid of Fred, just simply hit delete, and now Fred is gone. So adding and removing your own categories is very easy. Now, saving out. This is actually going to be moved to the Amy Wizard, and instead of being in here, so this gives you the ability to save out multiple formats, and we'll have more added in here. Right now, you might want to save them out as a Max, an OBJ, FBX, an Arnold file. All that will give you the ability. So when we build this plugin in, say, Unreal or say in Maya, that you will be able to take assets back and forth. We also have a level of detail. Now, we have a company that we do some plugins for, and they have all levels of detail models built. So they have a massing model, they have a low res, a standard model, a high res, and even a 3D scan. Now, what this looks for is if this was a multi-level detail and you had all these assets in, these are layer names. So they have a standardized layer name for every level of detail. All you would need to do is select that first plant, open up the wizard like you were going to save it into your asset, and it goes through to check to see if you actually have these layer names, and you'll be able to add all the multiple details at once. Also, we'll be doing a leveling up system. So once you have an asset in Amy, if you wanted to make changes to it and level that up as the next version, you'll be able to do that as well. Some of this stuff will get moved into the admin section, so backing up and restoring databases, that won't be something the user will have access to. The user is only probably just going to have this bottom piece here and where you need to connect to the Amy server. So I hope I've gone through everything pretty well. Any questions, send us a question on our forum, or put in a support ticket, or reply to on Facebook or whatnot. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Really looking forward to seeing what you have to say about Amy. Thanks. See you.